which is an internet radio station that comes out of California that not only does big band music of the United States, but also big band music that was popular in Great Britain, France, Germany, because they all have their own interpretations and takes on musical genres.
This is true. It's really, really a great time if you're into technology and love music to take advantage of everything that's out there, and to say nothing of things like the podcast and a lot of things that you can subscribe to, and then but it's also still also word of mouth too, because I my students they talk about things that they like to listen to. I try to turn them on to the old stuff. And so that's also always fun too, definitely, yeah.
So give us a rundown of maybe 2 or 3 things that people will hear at the big broadcast.
Well, you're going to hear right away when you come in. We are doing a great opening number by Artie Shaw called "Everything Is Jumpin'," and this again was an arrangement that I found through a website that specializes in historically accurate, authentic big band arrangements from that period. This is actually a transcription. I didn't do it. It's from somebody else. It's a transcription from a radio program that they did, and I believe it was in 1937 at the Café Rouge in New York City. And it's pretty cool because it's basically what you call a jive number, which means it's a number that Artie and the band would play to get people to get out on the dance floor. So it's a real swinging number. It's got some really cool clarinet lines in it, solos throughout the band. We're doing a really wonderful arrangement. And this actually, I'm crossing the parallel of the 40s into, it's actually the early 50s. I think it's actually 1950. We're doing Rosemary Clooney's version of "Oh You Beautiful Doll," which is one of my favorite old tunes, and it was done with a vocal quartet. And the cool part about the way we're doing the arrangement is that the WJAZ Jingle Quartet, who comes out and sings the jingle that I wrote for this fictitious station, is also singing in this song, and they transition back into the jingle. It happens at the end of Act 1. I should also mention that it's not just music that we're doing. The students also every year write an original radio play, and this year we're returning to Honeysuckle Hill. This is a soap opera that the students wrote about a really interesting family, the Huggins family of Peachtree, Georgia, who owns a distillery, a bourbon distillery. There's all sorts of hijinks and intrigue that go on at life on Honeysuckle Hill, and the students have a lot of fun writing the script. Of course, I played for them a bunch of different soap operas from the 1940s, so they kind of get an idea of how to write the show. And of course, back then on the radio, you have to be really, really careful if you're talking about people that are maybe having extramarital affairs and things of that nature. It was always just sort of insinuated, but they don't come out and actually say anything. So, of course, in this day and age, when you hear things like that, you just think it just sounds kind of funny because of the fact that they're dancing around what's, the topic rather than actually saying what's going on. And and then, of course, I've got the cheesy Hammond organ kind of sounds that are, the music cues and things like that. And so it's a lot of fun. And my colleague Cheryl Cobb, who is so wonderful every year as our Foley artist, is providing all of the sound effects for this. So if you come to the big broadcast, you're gonna get a real entertainment platter of music, and also, like I said, a little comedy in the form of these this radio play as well as a few skits. And I should also mention that Brian Lapis and I do a buddy number every year, and this year we're doing a song called Mississippi Mud, an old Dixieland song that, again, I kind of discovered, and I said, wow, I've never heard that before. That's a really cool song. Let's do it. And Brian is having a blast singing. I think Peter said he was a ham.
He is definitely a ham. We love Brian Lapis. Mark, thanks for joining us. The big broadcast is Saturday, March 3rd, Chapin Auditorium at Mount Holyoke in South Hadley, 2 o'clock and 7:30. Tickets will be available at the door. This is the Westfield News Show on 89.5 FM WSKB. When we come back after the break, we're going to be talking about the Oscars. They take place on Sunday, and who better to talk to about that than Diane Perlman from the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative. So don't go away. This is, again, the Westfield News Show on 89.5 FM WSKB.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Rocky's Ace Hardware. For all your fall cleanup needs, plus you'll experience our legendary helpful service in every department. Rocky's, rock-solid service since 1926.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Westfield News Show. I'm Mark Auerbach, standing in for Patrick Berry, and today's weather is going to be pretty cool, so it'll be a high of 59 degrees, so get out there and enjoy it. Because
tomorrow is
it's a nor'easter, so it could be rain, it could be snow, it could be winds, so today's the day, and as they say in Weather World, keep your eyes to the skies tomorrow. Well, the Oscars are happening this weekend. That's the Academy Awards, and I couldn't think of anybody better to join me and talk about movies than my pal Diane Perlman, who is the executive director of the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative. Those are the people that get Hollywood to come to Western Massachusetts to make their movies. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm great.
Now, I understand that you're driving somewhere and you're talking from your car. Are you on your way to Hollywood?
That would be a little far. I'm actually in the very picturesque town of West Stockbridge, parked and being safe.
Now, are you planning to watch the Oscars on Sunday?
I am, actually. I always do, just because sometimes I know people who are nominated.
And this year, is there anybody from Western Massachusetts or any film that was made here that's up for an award?
You know, not this year, unfortunately. Actually, I did a little research. There is a film up for Best Documentary. The producers, one of the producing pairs, are from Cambridge, Mass. It's called Icarus, and it's won a lot of awards. It's about the Russian doping kind of scandal, and it was at Sundance, and it's now streaming on Netflix. So there's a little Massachusetts connection there.
Have you ever been to the Academy Awards?
I have not. No, sad to say. But maybe someday. I'm involved in a couple of productions that I'm hoping might make it there.
Well, you've been involved in a lot of productions that have gotten to the Oscar level, right?
Yes, I actually, when I ran a visual effects studio here in Lenox, Massachusetts in the 90s, we actually, 3 of our supervisors won 2 for a movie called What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, one in 99, and we also developed the technology for The Matrix, that bullet time effect, and my friend John Gaeta won that year.
Is the Oscar like the pinnacle of what you can get in as an award in film, or do some people like yourself that are in the industry think, well, no, such and such is a more valuable and more exciting award?
I think the Oscar is the pinnacle in some respects, but I think people also think it's sort of Hollywood showing off itself, but I don't know if that's bad. Yeah, I think if you're an independent filmmaker, yes, that would be amazing. But there are also some very prestigious festivals that people like to get into, like Sundance and Tribeca, and festivals like that Toronto, that have a lot of, they're really revered festivals.
You just mentioned festivals. You and Karen Allen, the actor who lives in the Berkshires, who's probably best known for Raiders of the Lost Ark and I think Animal House, you both worked on a film that has been making the festival circuit. Can you explain what it's like?
Well, it was actually very exciting. It was a short film called A Tree, a Rock, a Cloud, based on a Carson McCullers short story. It was Karen's directorial debut, and yes, we spent the last year. It won in Manchester, England, and it's won all kinds of awards. We took it to the Cannes Film Festival last year, and it has been very exciting. Karen's actually, I think, going to our last festival in Bermuda in about a week and a half.
And what happens at these festivals? And that's question 1. Question 2, do we have any festivals here in Western Massachusetts that the general public could go to?
Yes, we do. And if I forget the second question, you'll have to remind me, but I think I'll remember. The festivals are actually amazing because you get to meet other filmmakers from around the world. And actually 2 films that we played with in the Rhode Island International Film Festivals are actually up for the short documentary. One is called The Silent Child out of London, and one is called 11 O'Clock. And so we had the opportunity to meet those filmmakers, and we're really excited to watch them at the Oscars on Sunday. And in terms of festivals here, yes, there's actually a large festival that takes place in the Berkshires called the Berkshire International Film Festival. And that runs for 4 days in late May, early June, in Pittsfield and in Great Barrington. And then also Al Williams has a film festival in the Northampton area.
And I understand there's a Pioneer Valley Jewish Film Festival that's going to screen something this month at Westfield State University. So
yes, I heard that too. Yes, exactly. And there's also, I believe, a Jewish Film Festival that happens in Lenox in the summer. So there are pockets of smaller film festivals, too, that may just either pop up or happen sporadically, for a day or so.
Now, how long has the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative been in existence?
Well, only 9 years, but sometimes it feels forever. We started very, very small 9 years ago, and now we're excited that people call us all the time as a resource to make movies here in Massachusetts, both films that come from out of the area and also local filmmakers.
Now, can you tell the audience some of the films that have been made here in the last few years that they might have seen at their local Cineplex?
Well, there's one that hasn't come out yet called Daddy's Home 2 that kind of made its way from the Berkshires all the way through the Pioneer Valley, with Mark Farrell and Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson. And so that was incredible because it really spent a lot of money in Massachusetts, which was very exciting. Before that, Labor Day was shot in Shelburne Falls, as was The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. So we've had some pretty high-profile movies that have shot here over the last couple of years.
And, of course, the area is known for filmmaking because Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton was filmed in Northampton. And there have been other famous movies. The Cider House Rules was filmed in the area. And Western Massachusetts seems to be a good place to make a movie.
It definitely is, and we have a great film office in Massachusetts that promotes locations in all over the state. So that's really exciting. They do look to Western Mass, and we love it when they come here. But also the smaller films, like Karen Allen's film was a short. It was a very small budget, but even those have an impact on our economy because we hire locally, and they use local caterers and hotels and shop for props. So movies of any size really make a huge difference in our local economy.
What attracts them to come here? The scenery is terrific, and you could have a rural setting in the Berkshires. You could have an urban one. I remember a movie called The Reincarnation of Peter Proud that was filmed here in the 70s with Michael Sarrazin and Margot Kidder, that filmed in downtown Springfield as Tower Square was going up and the Civic Center was being built, but also filmed up in the tobacco fields and the asparagus fields in Hatfield, and filmed in Long Meadow and other places. What brings the filmmakers here? Is it the quality of the scenery? Is it the ability to find talented film team to work? What do we have that other places don't?
Well, first of all, I would say we have a very excellent tax credit here in Massachusetts, which is what attracts people to shoot here, primarily because we have a 25% tax credit. So that means if you spend $50,000 or more in our state, which is a very low threshold, and you shoot 50% of your movie here, you're eligible to get 25% of the money you spent here back as a tax credit. So it's very lucrative for filmmakers to shoot here. So that brings them to the state. What attracts them to Western Mass is really our beautiful locations and very unique locations. We have, like you said, many, many places that can look like other places. And also, we do have great crew out here. And I think in the past couple of years, we've really worked to let people know that we have some really A-level talent here, especially people who want to shoot locally. They think they have to go to New York or L.A. or Boston for talent. And a lot of times those people are living down the street from them because they love living in Western Massachusetts.
Now, one of the things the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative has done in recent years is to provide training for up-and-coming filmmakers and videographers here, where they're either studying it in one of the area schools or whether they've kind of learned it. But I know that right now Tony Dunn from Public Television is teaching a course for you up in Pittsfield.
Right. We've been lucky to have some great collaborations with Berkshire Community College. We've also taught at UMass in Springfield, done lectures at Hampshire College and Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts. So sort of all over the region. We do a longer film production class, which can run 6 to 8 weeks. But we are also finding that people like these one-day workshops, like how to make a video on your iPhone. Because a lot of times now people don't have budgets to make major videos, but they need them for their websites or for their promotional efforts. So we work with nonprofits, we work with individuals. So everybody has a phone these days, and just to teach them the basics so they can shoot video on their phone.
And you've also done some exchanges. They've been in Springfield and networking programs throughout the Valley where people can get together. So I, as a filmmaker, would learn that there are other people just like me that live and work here in Western Massachusetts.
It's absolutely. I think we started doing networking events about 5 years ago because people tend to hide out here. And the very first one we did was in Northampton, actually, and just got the word out through people that we knew, and 160 people showed up. And I sort of looked out and said, who are all of you people? And it was a great, diverse crowd. There was somebody who owned a small stage in West Springfield. There was somebody in Shelburne Falls who did voiceovers for GBH. There were Hampshire college students. There were animators. It was quite the crowd. And so there's a lot of energy at these events, and we do them one a quarter, and we move them around to each of the 4 counties in western Massachusetts. And I'm planning actually our next one, which will probably be in April in Greenfield.
So this is an opportunity for people to meet like-minded professionals and wannabes here in Western Mass. If somebody's interested in what the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative does, how can they learn about your programs?
The best place to go is our website, berkshirefilm.org, very easy. And if you're interested in getting email blasts about what we do, our classes and our networking events, you can go on there and get listed and just sign up to be on our email blast list. And if you are a filmmaker or have a skill, you can list yourself on our crew database so people can find you. There's a button called Get Listed, and you can list yourself under the appropriate category. We do request that people have 2 professional credits in order to be listed on our website. Sometimes people make student films or whatever, but in this case, we do ask that people have professional credit to be listed on the in the database.
Okay, we're going to take a short break in just a minute. And so, Diane, you can either pull off to the side of the road and buy coffee at a Starbucks or a similar place, or if you're at home, you can refill your coffee. Next week on the Westfield News Show, Todd Trebor from the University of Massachusetts Arts Extension Service will be here to talk about a community arts program coming to Westfield in association with Westfield on Weekends. And author David Horgan, who's from Springfield, discusses his book, When a Parent Moves In. And that's something that some of us face when our parents get older, or some of us that are older parents may want to or need to move in with a child. And then in this day and age when politics is so divisive, how do you make it funny? We're going to have the co-founder of the Capitol Steps, Elena Newport, here to talk about what makes politics funny. That's next week here on the Westfield News Show at 89.5 FM WSKB. I'm Mark Auerbach, and we're going to take a couple of breaks to acknowledge our underwriters here on 89.5 WSKB. It's 31 degrees in Greater Westfield right now, high projected today of 59 degrees, and it is 7:37 a.m. So if you have to be at work at 7:45, get in your car and get moving. We'll be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its 3rd generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for community programming on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
rules the roost on Thursday from 6 till 10. It's Patrick Berry.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Mark Auerbach and the Westfield News Show here on 89.5 FM WSKB. Peter Coles is our engineer this morning, and I've got to thank him for making my debut on the Westfield News Show as easy as possible.
And we'll have to give Diane Perlman apologies in advance. It's going to snow out there tomorrow, Diane. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Spring in New England, right?
You can film it, Diane. We're with Diane Perlman from the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative, and we started talking about film internationally because Sunday is the Oscars, and a lot of you will be glued to your television set on Sunday and probably next week running off to catch the movies that won all the awards, if they're not already out on video or available for streaming. Diane, what are some of your favorite movies that were filmed here in Western Massachusetts?
Oh, wow. That's a difficult question. I'm a Meryl Streep fan, so I like Before and After. I did like the Cider House Rules, and actually, if you look at the poster for Cider House Rules, Ventford Hall in Lennox, they came and shot in exteriors here, and that made it as part of the poster, which I always, I love seeing that, actually, when I see promotions for it. And every once in a while, it's rerun someplace. So I love that Western Mass is featured in the promotion of the movie.
One town in particular, Shelburne Falls, has been the site of several filmings. What did that do for Shelburne Falls?
Right. I actually see you jogged my memory. Right. Both Labor Day with Kate Winslet and The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. were shot there quite recently. And it's an amazing boost for the local economy when a film comes, a film of any size, actually, but especially a Hollywood film, because they use our local businesses for the resources that they need on the film. So people stay at local hotels. They use local caterers. The local coffee shops get a boost. So we actually did a study, and for every dollar that is spent on filming in Western Mass, 60 cents goes into the local economy. So that's huge for some of our small towns that host big films.
And I remember when I was working for public radio, there was a movie called Malice that was filming in Northampton with Alec Baldwin and Nicole Kidman. And Alec Baldwin was a public radio junkie, and he listened to WFCR, and we were doing a fund drive, and he made a pledge, and people thought, this has got to be bogus. Somebody's just calling innocent, but it was confirmed, and it turned out that they were in town for a period of time, and they became involved in what was going on in the town. So it's nice to have artists and production people and crew from somewhere else coming and becoming like a resident of your town for a month while they're making a movie.
They do, and everybody that's come to Western Mass has had an exceptional experience, and that's because I think that our towns really embrace it. And to your point, like I got a call when The Judge was being shot here from someone who was part of Team Downey, Robert Downey Jr.'s core group, and he likes to purchase a piece of art from a local artist when he's in an area. So they called and they said, well, we need a list of local artists. So of course I sent them like hundreds of people. And he had a couple of requirements. He didn't want to buy any jewelry. I think he just wanted paintings or something. But I thought it was really nice that no matter where he goes and shoots, he takes a little bit of local inspiration back with him to California.
Let me ask you a question. You came here to shoot a film and ended up staying and working on other films. What drew you to Western Mass, and what keeps you here?
I came to the Berkshires actually in 1992 to work with a gentleman named Doug Trumbull. Doug is known in our industry as one of the fathers of visual effects. He had worked on Blade Runner, the first one, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters, the first Star Trek, and he basically came out here and had had enough of Hollywood. And in 1989, he had developed a technology called ride films, where you sit in a motion base and move according to what's going on screen, which a lot of us, if you've visited any theme parks, have probably ridden a motion base. And that was Doug's technology. And the first film he did was actually here in Housatonic with Steven Spielberg for Universal. It was the Back to the Future ride. And then he got a contract to do 3 attractions for the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. And I came up to production supervise that project. I came up from New York. I thought I'd be here a year, and I fell in love with the area. I met my husband on the job, who was from California, and we decided to stay in the Berkshires. And after that, after the Luxor job, I actually took over the studio with a partner named Joel Hynek, and we did high-end visual effects for feature films out of Lenox, Massachusetts. We had a crew of about 200 for 6 years. And then the studio moved to the West Coast, but we had fallen in love with the area and thought it was a great place to raise our children, and so we stayed. And I think because of Doug's initial work in our studio, there are actually quite a lot of filmmakers, especially in the visual effects world, still here in Western Massachusetts.
There are also a lot of actors and directors and cinematographers that have chosen to live here. It's close to New York. We're very fortunate to have good airports, both in Hartford and Albany, that can get us anywhere we need to go and have this kind of quality of life. Do you think that the area is going to attract more people in the creative economies?
I think so. There are people who live here or close to this area, just like you said, because it's close to New York and they can get anywhere in the world to shoot, but they like to live here. Jane Atkinson and her husband Michael Gill were on House of Cards. They played the Secretary of State and the President, and so Michael was no longer on the show, but Jane still is. She's shooting the last season right now, and also has been on Madam Secretary in the current season, and she was on 24. As you said, Karen Allen's here. She's been here for a long time and also has a store here under her name in Great Barrington. Chris Noth, Mr. Big, lives up here. And I think also as people settle here, or actors, they tell other people to come here. There are also a lot of people in northern Connecticut, Meryl Streep, and people like that. So there are a lot of people that just find this a relaxing place to come to. Whenever I was traveling for a film, I always felt I could breathe when I came back to Western Massachusetts.
And also there are a lot of good, high-quality crew people here. I know that, we've been talking about Hollywood movies here, but people film commercials here, documentaries. They can find the talent and the personnel that they need right here. They don't have to go to L.A. to get it.
That's true. There's some amazing documentary filmmakers here. 2 women that come to mind. Julia Mintz, who lives in Northampton, has had many award-winning films. Cynthia Wade, who is an Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker, lives here in the Berkshires. And a lot of camera people. I think on the smaller films, we pretty much can crew up. One of the reasons we do the educational classes that we do is to try and increase the depth of the crew base here. Especially, we teach a class how to be a production assistant, because that's the first thing I get asked when a visiting production comes, is they need production assistants that know the area well. And so we focus on training young people, especially in our area, to have those skills to work with professional crews.
Now, the people that you're training, will they be able to make a career here, or is it still tough to work year-round?
I think it's tough. I think there's more and more production happening, even on a small scale. Companies are shooting videos, for their websites or whatever. So I am finding that I can put people on crews on a regular basis, but it's still difficult to sustain. And even in Boston, it's there's more work there, but it's an ebb and flow kind of business, not necessarily happening all the time.
And you mentioned people could film with their iPhones, for example. Isn't film and video now a really necessary tool for selling something? Websites aren't effective without a clip of video. And I would think that people that use Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media outlets would realize that at this point, because you're drawn to it when you see it in a Facebook feed, for example.
I think you're right. I think a while ago you needed just color on your website, but now the video is so prominent. I think you're right. There's still a notion that video always has to be expensive, and it really doesn't. I mean, yes, you can hire a crew and do a beautiful video, but if you have the tools, you can also do things yourself, or hire someone in their 20s to do it for you. But still, even though you have an iPhone, doesn't mean that you have the tools to make a good story. It's still about good content, or at least trying to do the best content that you can. I tell people, if you have an event, just shoot some video, and then if you need someone to put it together, call me, and I'll recommend an editor for you, and that would be low cost, and you can have something that you can use for your company or your business.
Now, people don't realize that it's still, no matter what they're throwing up there to social media, it's the content that makes the difference, and not like if you've taken 20 minutes of video at a party and you just throw it up there, it's the 3 prime minutes of the video that's going to attract somebody's attention because it was thought out, not the 20 minutes of people wandering around.
Right, exactly. It's a really critical point. I think people's attention spans are shorter. So if you have a message or a brand or something that you want to get across, you really want to do it in 3 minutes, as you say, not 20 minutes. You'll lose people within the first minute if it's not engaging.
Now, when Berkshire Film and Media has done training programs or exchanges, there are businesses in Western Massachusetts that jump on the program to sponsor it because they understand the importance of film and video. I was quite thrilled to attend one of the exchanges you had at the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Springfield, and to see the types of people that got on board as sponsors because they got it and they understood that it would make a difference in how they did business here in Western Massachusetts. Are you finding that the community at large is now more in tune with what you're doing?
I think so. The exchanges you mentioned are really a wonderful event that we do once a year, usually in the fall, where it's a day-long series of workshops or panels or discussions based on a certain focus in the film industry. The first 2 we did were expos, where we had big exhibit floors, and Doug Trumbull was our keynote speaker one year, as was Cynthia Wade, who I mentioned before. 2 years ago, the focus was on nonprofits and helping them. And actually, we're looking forward to plan our exchange this year, which I think I'm going to focus on screenwriting, because it doesn't really matter where you are to write for television or for film. So we're looking forward to doing that. And yes, I think that our community is realizing what our reach is. Our email blast list is over 2,500. So people are aware of film. They know it's important. And we've been very lucky to have some great sponsors come on board in the past, including Patrick Berry and the Westfield News Group.
Yeah, I've talked with Patrick extensively about his involvement, and he gets the idea that the creative economy is really important and how it could impact, for example, the community in Westfield. And Westfield, as a university town, has a bookstore downtown that operates and functions, which downtown Springfield does not have. So I think Westfield is prime for an increase in creative economy.
Yeah, I think for us sometimes it's difficult because there's so many wonderful nonprofits that are involved in the arts, but they're venues. You know, they're places to go and see a concert or see a theatrical production. And for us, we're sort of under the radar a little bit because we really are about boosting our creative economy by creating jobs and training people. We actually think film and media is an area that will attract and keep our young people in the area. They totally get media. They use it much more adeptly than some of us older people. And so we are actually really excited that this is an industry that young people can work in from Western Massachusetts, and to promote that as a growing industry here in our region.
Well, Diane, with the Oscars on Sunday, do you have a pick hit that you're hoping picks up a couple of awards?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm really torn. I'd like The Shape of Water. I really like that as a kind of quirky film. I'm a Meryl Streep fan, so I like The Post. I have to confess that I haven't seen every single movie that's out there, but I try and watch a bunch. I do get some of the screeners, so between now and then I'm going to be watching a lot of movies too. Did you have a favorite, Mark?
I don't, actually, because I seldom, if ever, go and watch a movie in the cinemas. I much prefer to watch them at home, and a lot of them haven't made their way yet to the small screen. But I do want to hear Keala Settle, who's a Broadway musical theater actress, sing the song "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman, because it's a wonderful song. And
love that movie.
She was in Waitress on Broadway, and I was so glad that movie took some of the top Broadway talent with it, and that will be probably my go-to moment watching the Oscars. Otherwise, I'll watch it on Facebook and watch people's comments, because for me, some of the people we know and their commentary is much better than watching the actual awards ceremony on television.
That's true. I can't always keep up with all the comments, though, and people definitely have their favorites. They're very opinionated.
Well, it's not only the fashion commentary, which is an ongoing thing. I did not watch 1 minute of the Olympics, but I knew from tuning into Facebook what Johnny Weir was wearing at every stretch of the way. So that's kind of the way I'll watch the Oscars. And I remember last year, I don't remember what award she was presenting, but one of my friends, who happens to be a marketing colleague, was entranced by what Faye Dunaway wore on the red carpet and what she wore when she was a presenter. So he kind of put together a MASH video of Faye Dunaway moments, which was on Facebook within 20 seconds after Faye Dunaway had completed making a presentation. I'll be watching that.
Well, I think the fashion almost supersedes the awards these days sometimes. You know, good and the bad, both, in terms of the fashion elements of the Oscars.
Well, you know, we just don't have enough red carpet moments. I mean, I can't remember the last really cool red carpet moment we had in Western Mass. Other than your posh picnic that Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative sponsors every year at Tanglewood. It's a fundraiser for filmmaking, for the programs that you provide, not only to attract filmmakers here, but to provide the educational resources. And that, to me, is the most glamorous event I've ever been to in Western Mass. I hope you're going to do it again.
I was just meeting with the some of the new managers on the BSO on Tuesday in Boston to discuss when we're going to do it this year, because Kim Noltemy, their COO, has moved on to become the president of the Dallas Symphony, but they have some great new people in place there. So we're hoping to continue. Maybe I should ask Tanglewood if they have a red carpet we can put out on the lawn. Well,
you know, red carpet is only good like in the evening type of things, but I just loved being out there. And what I liked the most was I got a chance to meet some of the people that are involved in film just while they're relaxing. And when I go to exchanges or I go to some of the other events that you're working on, I'm there partly because I'm a professional who works with film and media, but also because I'm part of your steering committee, and it's my role to make sure that the events go well. But to be able to go out there and just relax and have incredible food and sit there out on the lawn and hear good music is just cool.
Yeah, we're very lucky that Tanglewood is a sponsor, and we're also very lucky, Mark, that you help us with our public relations and all of our marketing, because it helps us get the word out about what we're doing, and so we're most grateful for that. So thank you.
I'm glad to. Thanks for joining us this morning, Diane. We'll chat on Monday and recap the Oscars from our personal points of views. I'll be posting mine to Facebook. And thanks all of you for listening to the Westfield News Show today. We hope that you'll join us again next Thursday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. here on 89.5 FM WSKB. Thanks to my engineer, Pete Coles, who stands by, and we will see you next week. Have a good week. Have a good weekend.
As a fiddle ready for love, I could jump over the moon up above. Fit as a fiddle and ready for love. I haven't to worry, I haven't to care. Feel like a feather that's floating on air. Fit as a fiddle and ready for love. Soon the church bells will be ringing, and I'll march with Ma and Pa. How those church bells will be ringing, with a hey nonny nonny and a hot shot shot. Hey diddle diddle, my baby's okay. Ask me a riddle, or what did she say? Fit as a fiddle and ready